Let's get recording started. There we go. Fabulous. Let's get started. So thank you everyone for, as I say, joining in the loop with Anypoint Code Builder, the December edition. I have to flash this up. Forward-looking statement. We are going to be talking about roadmap items. Only make purchase decisions based off of generally available products. For those of you who are new to this series, wondering is In the Loop with Anypoint Code Builder is a monthly series we started last month to focus on everything ACB. So that's all the underlying usability, platform and performance improvements we're making to Anypoint Code Builder, and also some of the more AI-focused, exciting vibe stuff, which we'll hear about too. We'll spend some time briefly going over what we talked about last month, just to give you a bit of a refresher, keep it top of mind. We'll talk about what's coming in this coming month as well, and then we'll finish with a Q&A so you can ask any of your burning questions. My name is MuleSoft. I'm joined today by two directors of product management, Mothi and Sujan, and we're actually going to hand across to Sujan to kick things off because he is the newest member of this little product marketing trio. He wasn't on the last meeting. We want to give him some time to introduce himself to you, the community. And he's going to be running you through everything as well for the majority of today's session. So Sujan, that's enough from me. Take it away.
Thank you, Hassan. Hey, hi everybody. This is Sujan. I joined the Mule team about 6 months back. I've been doing product management for a while now. I'm not new to the iPaaS world as well. Pretty excited to be part of the team and pretty excited to know all of you here. With that, let's get started, Hassan. So a quick recap of what we did in November before we get too excited about December. The big one is the parent POM. We added support for parent POM in November. We've been getting really good feedback about how it is kind of unblocked a lot of you guys being able to add, centralize your POM dependencies and everything using the parent POM. So pretty good about that. Next one, a bunch of usability enhancements we did in November. The copy and paste of components, connector components across the flow. You're able to configure batch processes. You can duplicate flow. A bunch of configuration elements, like you can add an object store and configure object store in the configure UI, and support for few more connector actions like IDP actions, RPA actions, and my favorite, the REST connect connectors. Pretty powerful capability there. With that, moving on to December. So December, we just wanted to be honest, step back a little bit. We've been running in a neck break speed. We wanted to not get too excited about adding more and more features. So we wanted to slow down and address the usability, performance, and stability for this release before we can, go faster with adding more features. So from a usability front, there's a bunch of things that we have addressed. In the October release, we added support for custom metadata using MCP tool, or you could bring in a project from your studio application or where you built using custom metadata. While you brought it to ACB, we noticed that the data was not getting propagated. Well, it was getting propagated, but it was not being shown properly in the data science input-output tabs. We have taken care of that. One of the popular usability asks that we've been getting is, hey, you have these wonderful data weave editors, like the messages where you want to put in your data weave, not code. It could also be a code, but data weave expressions. We got a lot of requests about, hey, can you resize it? Can you make it more intelligent? We have added that. The transform mapper, I'm sure you're familiar with the map with AI, the transform with AI. We learned that making that as a default could be a blocker in the user experience. We have addressed that. We have also addressed some of the error handling and how we show error on the screen. So so you could learn from the error and move on with how you want to do the transforms. Fix some issues with SAP MCP connectors. And there was a particular configuration related to CDCI that was messing up the dependency in parent POM. We have addressed that as well. I'd like to show a quick demo of some of the usability changes that we just talked about. Just a quick show and tell before we move on to the next slides. Can you see my screen, everybody? Great.
Yes, we can.
Cool. So if you, I'm inside the logger component right now. So this is the data weave expression that I was talking about. If you wanted to change it to the expression mode, it automatically changes to this one. It gives you the code editor feel, right? And then you could literally add more code. This is full blown code editor mode you have. It comes with IntelliSense, and all nice things. You could play around with the expressions. Pretty useful at this point. So we have added this in every component, every data weave editor that you might come across. Moving on to the transform component. Oh yeah, before we move on to the transform component, this project I built with custom metadata. So if you have a project with custom metadata, you will have this artifact, which is application types, where you have the XML enrichments, which are essentially your definition of custom metadata and how the custom metadata is bound to your components. I've bound the custom metadata. I've created a few custom metadata and bound it to the logger component and the transform component. Going back, so if you look at it, until now, if you look at the data science input output, if it was just custom metadata, it was not propagating it properly. So it was bound well, but it was not just showing it well in the design time. So we fixed that. And moving on to the transform component, I'll like to show it, the input output data science for transform component as well. Here, since I'm doing a transformation from an XML to a JSON, the input data type is different from the output data type. Both the data types are shown here. Now let's move back to the transform mapper. If you notice, it just came up like that. It didn't have that spinning wheel, which is essentially an API call for your AI generator. It just comes up, and if you wanted to trigger your AI mapper or AI transformer, you could always do that. I'm not going to do that because it takes a few minutes. I don't want to, in interest of time, I don't want to do that. But I also want to showcase that, hey, for example, this was not available. We are able to do this mapping really well. Looks like, yeah, I don't know why it didn't stick in the first place. I need to report that. But if you notice, when we did the mapping, the previews are generated well, the scripts are generated well. So we have addressed those things as well. Moving back, ask me, you want to share the screen or you want me to?
Yep, I can share screen. Yeah, go for it. Just stop. You need to stop sharing yours first.
Just give me a second.
Perfect. Thank you for the demo. As I said, if you have any questions about that or anything ACB, please put them in the chat. We'll address them at the end. But on with the presentation now.
All right. So from moving on from the usability to platform stability, one thing that we noticed is when we are deploying an application to the Cloud Hub, it was deploying well. There was no problem with the deployment, at least for the first time. When you're deploying, there was no problem with the deployment. But the messaging that came, the notification that came from deployment was kind of misleading. So we have fixed that, we have addressed that. You have various stages of messaging now. It says, hey, you start with, we have published it, now we have deployed it, it is now working through the deployment. You wait for it, and then it gives a nice link where you can click on it, and it takes you directly to the runtime monitor, and then you could see the progress of how it is getting deployed on the control plane. Like I said, we are addressing the CI/CD properties in the parent POM, which was causing dependency issues. Git is no longer required to install Anypoint Code Builder. A bunch of stability issues have been addressed, especially while you are doing configurations for connectors. And we have addressed a lot of slowness while using MuleSoft vibes. There were a lot of issues in API call events, which has been addressed, and things are much better with vibes now. Moving on. Roadmap. Cool. So we are pretty excited. gRPC. So gRPC is one of the most popular protocols out there. The most popular use case is intra data center integrations, app integrations, and also high performance streaming use cases like voice or video. So we are providing end-to-end support, which is starting from design of what is called as protobuf. Protobuf is the language with which you define the interfaces, protocol interface, and sorry, the API interfaces. And it is also a binary stream through protobuf. We are supporting protobuf in V1, and subsequently we'll be having more and more support for other streams like Avro and so on. We are supporting these assets in Exchange, first-class support, end-to-end development experience in ACB, and it has high-speed binary streaming support for HTTP2 in Cloud Hub 2, and managing and monitoring this traffic in Flex Gateway. So this cannot get any better, guys. I mean, this is end-to-end support for gRPC. Now, the question I have, or the request I have, is we are pretty excited about this one. So we are recruiting for design partners. So if you have customers who have gRPC use cases, you can please DM me, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to have design partners. We are actively recruiting design partners right now. So please reach out to me, or please put it out in chat. I'm keen to see if we have any design partners. Next slide, please. So we quickly talked about custom metadata support, custom metadata in the usability. But that was if you're having a project which already had custom metadata when you're importing it, or when you're using the MCP tool for custom metadata. That said, we are bringing on full-blown first-class support for custom metadata, where you can create, bind, manage your custom metadata, and you have a centralized dashboard for custom metadata, and we will be supporting all data types, starting from JSON all the way to copybook and simple data types. So the support for that is coming in March timeframe. We are trying to pull it in, but definitely by March. with that, what do we have next? I think vibes. Yeah.
If he's going to hand over to Mofi right now, talk about vibes, everything coming vibes. Thank you, Sujan.
Thank you so much, Acid and Sujan. So a couple of things to call out within the vibes category. The first is we're bringing a focus into the process of generating unit tests within vibes. So as part of our January release, there's a couple of things that we'll launch. We'll have an optimized tool for creating unit tests. We will automatically generate mock data based on metadata that we know is running through your applications and your flows. And of course, we'll be able to modify these unit tests using natural language prompts. All of the code that we generate will be pre-validated and again, optimized for the Mule experience. So really, really excited about this capability, which will be landing the beginning of January. Next, we have support for exchange assets. Right now, Vibes doesn't have context about what you have running in Exchange when it tries to generate applications. So as you can see, we generate applications using standard connectors or connectors that we, MuleSoft, have published to our customers. Starting February, we're going to be making that a bit more personalized. As part of our February release, we'll start supporting generating applications using assets that you have in your Exchange. So, for instance, if you've published an API specification into Exchange, we'll be able to generate apps that consume those API specifications through REST connectors. If you have custom connectors that you've published to Exchange, we'll be able to generate applications that invoke those custom connectors. And altogether, we are, again, pre-validating all of the code that is generated, even in this case where the code is specific to your organization, to make sure that the quality of the code that is generated is incredibly high. Just a note, because we get this question a lot, what gets generated will depend on what business groups that you have access to. So we're maintaining the same isolation that exists already for users within the Anypoint organization. And just to wrap it up, there's quite a lot on the roadmap and quite a lot that we've talked about already. There's one thing I do want to call out because it was a question that came from someone who's online. We will have support for importing studio workspaces as part of our one of our early releases next year. What does this mean? You'll be able to point Anypoint Code Builder directly to a studio workspace in order to start working on those studio projects. We will not create a copy of those projects. You'll simply have a reference created within the Anypoint Code Builder environment so that you're able to start working on those projects in the context of Anypoint Code Builder. Otherwise, we're continuing to add a number of different UI enhancements and platform enhancements to the product. So keep an eye out as we get into the next in the loop coming next month.
Thank you so much, Mofi. I think it's up to me to close out before we go to the Q&A. So yeah, we want to hear from you. As I said, the idea of this session is that it's interactive. We're doing it monthly. We really want you guys to start engaging with and enjoying your use of ACB. So please feel free if you have any comments, questions for this group, feel free to reach out to me. I'm on the Slack community. You can add me on LinkedIn as well. I've already seen someone, I presume in this session, unless it's a coincidence, has added me on LinkedIn. So yeah, feel free to reach out. We really just want to hear from you and keep this engaging for you. And we have, as I said, this is a monthly series. We had last month's. This month's, of course, the last of the year. We have sessions in January, February, and March. That March one is a special one because it's just before TDX, and we're going to do a special hour-long session for that to talk about everything leading up into TDX. So yeah, it's a monthly session. Please attend. These are also all recorded as well. So if you can't attend one of the sessions, if you want to see what we discuss, head to the meetup page. The recording will be hosted there. We had a bit of a hiccup with last month's recording, but this month it went off without a hitch. So feel free. I know someone asked if we're sharing the slides. We're not going to share the slides out, but you can review everything here in the recording that will be on the meetup page that you signed up on. And I just wanted to touch on the fact that, yeah, new year, more vibes with MuleSoft. So I know this session, and a lot of what we wanted to do with this is talk about, the more underlying, less shiny features of ACB around the platform stability and, these fundamental tools that we know are super important to you and the community. But we are also doing some really exciting stuff with Vibes, and that's going to really kick off in the next session in January. We'll probably be focusing a little bit more about our generative development and management capabilities. So be sure to tune in January, or watch the recording as well. And aside from this session, we'll be releasing a host of content, announcements, blogs, and videos. So stay tuned on all the channels for that social community. I know Caitlin's going to help out with some promotion in that regard as well. If you want to sign up, you can follow this QR code right now. This takes you, I've also linked it in the chat. If you don't want to scan a QR code, you can sign up for January's edition. We also have the release notes. As I said, the reason we're doing this is because ACB is now getting monthly releases. This is happening every month. We're releasing innovation, so be sure keep on the release notes to get that technical readout. And if you want to get started with MuleSoft Vibes in preparation for January's session, be sure to check out that post and that announcement too. We're going to be doing a lot more, as I said, come January. And that is everything. I've already repeated the slides. I guess just re-emphasize it. We want to hear from you. Feel free to message me. Thank you. That's everything we wanted to touch on today. And now we can switch over to some Q&A. So I guess I'll act as I mean, you've answered a lot of the questions already, which has been great. I'm going to try and pull something out. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. Is it available for Anypoint platform trial account? I actually know the answer to that one. Yes, Vibes is available for a trial account, with a caveat that you also need to spin up a Salesforce developer account that is Einstein enabled and link that to your Anypoint Code Builder trial account. And just to reiterate as well, we have ungated our Vibes and generative capabilities. So there are no credits you need, nothing of that nature. You can vibe to your heart's content. So now is the time to get started. I would say we have another question saying, hey, Aston, we're starting with the MuleSoft integration implementation from next year. Should I start with ACB as standard tool for development, or consider Studio, or it's case by case? I would say start with ACB. I am biased, but ACB is where all of our innovation, all of our development resources really focused on with regard to new and exciting features. Perhaps Mofi or Sujan, you can comment on that as well.
I can take this. Yeah, so to Aston's point, we have invested an incredible amount in terms of the innovation within Anypoint Code Builder and agent-driven experiences. I also would encourage everyone to start with Anypoint Code Builder. We are addressing any functional gaps between Studio and Anypoint Code Builder, which is the purpose of these sessions, to make sure that you guys know that we're addressing them. If your organization relies on one of those functional gaps, then in those cases, we would recommend Anypoint Studio. But I think it does happen on a case-by-case basis. But again, a lot of the innovation and agent-driven experiences are in Anypoint Code Builder. I also want to answer, just to follow up to the comment on the trial account. So there are a couple of things you need to do in order to get access to AI in the trial account, but it is supported in the trial account. The first thing that you need to do is spin up an Anypoint organization. On that Anypoint organization, you'll also have to enable an AI permission for your user. That is, I'll send out documentation shortly, but everything is very well documented. Once you have your Anypoint user set up to use AI within Anypoint, then you'll have to spin up the Salesforce org. As Aston mentioned, everyone has access to Salesforce developer orgs. Those have AI on them, and there are clear instructions about how you can link your Salesforce org to your Anypoint org in order to try out Vibes. But ultimately, it is available in the trial experience. I'll share some documentation that goes through step-by-step how you get this, but it is supported.
Thank you, Mofi. Another question. Currently, it seems the runtime version from September are supported in ACB. What is the cause of this delay, and is that going to change? Sujan or Mofi? I'll take.
I can take.
Oh.
Sorry, Sujan, you want to go?
No, I was actually not paying attention. What's the question?
Okay, so we do understand this dependency. Right now, Anypoint Code Builder is coupled to our runtime release cadence, which means only after we release support for a new runtime version are there made available. Going into next year, we do want to introduce some bit of decoupling so that customers can start using the runtimes as soon as they're available. So we'll have more to share in terms of the timeline, but it is actually a problem that we're actively trying to solve today.
Perfect, thank you. I'm still scrolling through the questions. We talked about the metadata stuff. Do you want to just comment on the metadata? Any comments on there? I know there was some discussion in the chat around that, the custom metadata. Anything else to add?
No, I think we've covered that as much as we could. It's just going to be releasing in February timeframe. So we are going to give first-class support for custom metadata, and it is definitely not as clunky as Studio. It's pretty lightweight. We have tested it internally, so pretty excited about that.
Cool, thank you. I think that's scrolling through the chat. Most of the questions covered. If you have any questions and you don't think I've covered it, can you post them in the chat now? We'll wait for a moment, but if nothing else, I think we can close this out. Oh, we had another question come in. This is more of a thoughtful question in the sense of they are using a present studio to build code for an existing client. What was your proposition for them? How soon should we get started with ACB? And what about customers' existing license for the Anypoint platform?
So, I mean, you should start with ACB today.
Yes, that's what we're saying, isn't it? That's what we said earlier in the chat as well, yeah.
So you should be starting with ACB today, and if you're having any issues, please report. We are actively working on fixing those issues, making sure you're unblocked. But I mean, you can always fall back to Studio, but you should start with ACB today.
Yes, that's what we like to hear. That's the purpose of this session as well. We had another question. Is there any way to raise bugs or suggest enhancements? There 100% is, but I forget the avenues. Do you know that, Sujan? Any way to contact you with regards to ACB or Mofi?
For bugs, support is the right channel. For enhancements, ideas portal is a place where you go raise it.
Perfect. Well, I think that's everything we wanted to cover today. Again, please feel free to sign up to the January edition. We'll be talking more about everything in Vibes. And as I said, these are all recorded, so you can look back if there's anything you want to double back on today. But yeah, thank you so much, Sujan, for joining this session and for the future sessions. Mofi, as always, great to have you. And yeah, we appreciate everyone in the community. Thank you so much. Happy holidays coming up, and we'll see you for New Year, more Vibes with MuleSoft. So yeah, thank you so much. Have a good one all.